Okay, here's the general layout of the rotisserie table. It's just a big rectangle, and it's 108 inches in total length, and it's 34 inches wide. Now, this is a 250 gallon tank that's sitting on it now. Obviously, this table is big for that, but I also build 330s, and a 500 gallon tank will fit on this very, very nice too. If you're just building 250s and 120s, 150s and stuff, then I would probably shorten this by a good 1.5 feet so that you don't have this area on the end over here. And that's not a problem to have this extra, because all I've got to do is shift it from one end to the other. So when I'm putting the tank together, I put the collector together first, and I slide this tank all the way down to this end, or spin it around and let the collector hang off the other end over there. But by the time you put the firebox on, you're pretty much committed to having, or you are committed to having, at least the firebox hang off the end. And while we're talking about that, these tabs here with the holes in them, I have on 12-inch centers. And that's just an arbitrary distance that I chose. And those tabs are just pieces of angle iron that hold up my my roller wheels, casters. And I have built mine out of 2.5 by 2.5 square tubing. Mine is 3/16 wall, I believe. It's not quarter, so I'm assuming it's 3/16. I haven't actually measured it, but it looks 3/16. It's certainly not 1/8. But anyway, that's what I had. You could build it out of 2 by 2 1/4-inch wall probably and get away with it. I would want a little more wall height to keep this thing from sagging in the middle, and I am pretty confident that 2 by 2 by 1/4 in that distance with a 500 on it would sag. This one definitely does not with a 500 on it. So there are some distances that you would probably want to know right off the bat, and one of them is the height of the top of our wheel runner here, or cross member, to the ground, and this one happens to be 21 inches. Another critical distance is the distance between the axle. If this is a 6-inch wheel, which that's what I recommend, I've used 4 and I found it cumbersome, and I start out with 8 like I do on the ground, and that just was too much for me. I went back to 6, and I enjoy that, and I put my 8s down there on the ground. I would highly recommend these steel wheels. I get them from Amazon. They're not cheap, but I find that metal fines and whatever else will get hung in the plastic or rubber coated ones, and it just causes problems. So I went to all steel, and all of them need to caster, or all of them need to swivel. In other words, you want even these to swivel because that will make up for any variations that you have in alignment or anything like that. And they'll self-adapt to the tank. If they're not, you get them just the tiniest bit off, they'll dig a groove in the metal right there, and you don't want that. So allow them to swivel so that they can seat themselves constantly. The distance between the axles for the casters is 26 inches on mine. On a 250, I build them in this position. Of course, this caster will swivel and go to the other side, and that gets the two axles closer to each other. Basically, the hole in the middle is smaller, so that's what I use when I'm building 120 or 150 or 24-inch tanks. This obviously is a 30-inch tank, so I move them to the outside. The reason I chose 34 inches wide is because I didn't want to have to be leaning over the table to get to the tank. I really like that length right there, or that width. That gives me a wide enough footprint that I don't have to worry about the thing turning over or being unstable, but narrow enough that I don't have to walk around it or step around it. And I prefer the 5,000 pound jack stands. You could probably get away with a lot cheaper jack stands. Those rascals are not cheap. And I use the ones that swivel, and also that you can take them off. Originally, I thought that I would be taking these off a lot more than I do, but now I only let it down on the wheels when I need to move it out of the way, which is often enough. But when I'm building, I leave it on that pretty much all the time. Of course, the main purpose in those is to level it out. But they're a lot more stable than the wheels. On a good concrete floor, those wheels will roll so easy that if you're trying to do something on the tank, it just rolls out of the way. So I leave it leveled up pretty much throughout the whole build. Another critical area is this area right here. You can see that I've gone ahead and put my feet. A lot of people don't put feet on their cookers like that, but I do. But it also applies to hinges and door handles and all of that. You want to make sure that your tank is sitting up high enough off of that table that when you spin it completely around, you have enough room for those items to go through, or those obstacles to go through and not hang on your table. It's a real drag when you get turned all the way over like that and something goes clunk and you can't go any further. So my message is, back here on the back, give yourself enough room through here that your legs or whatever you put down there can go through, and you can rotate this tank all the way around, rather than, you know, running into either this cross member here or something else. So that's something else to consider. I also use a micro adjust. A lot of guys have asked what that is, and that's my tank hold down, this piece right here. And it's super simple. All it is a piece of threaded rod. And I will probably go to a lot bigger threaded rod. I would recommend 1 inch. I think that's probably, I don't know what that is. I think that's 5/8 threaded rod. It's just what I had laying around handy. And it just slips into a piece of angle sitting right here, or that's actually flat bar welded on. And you know, I like to be, I start out with a hole, and then I decided, no, I need a slot because I want to pull that out when I unloosen these. And this is just a temporary tab to lock the tank down. So I can lock the tank in place and have me some micro adjust there to get my tank clocked exactly right. This, of course, you know, you can knock it off when you're done and grind that smooth. It's not going to be any different. It's not going to be a problem anyway, because it's below our table level and would be out of the way even if you didn't clean it off real good. Now, I also put holes in this because I thought that I was going to be putting it in my tabs, but ultimately I decided that clamping this piece works out better for me, because I can move this tank back and forth and not be committed to just one of these spots that's on 12-inch centers. So I bolt all of the others to the tabs for the cross members, and I clamp my lockdown cross member in place. One of the things I do like about the table being too long is it gives me an area for my aluminum work space down there, or table that I can set some tools. That was kind of an unattended benefit, unintentional rather, benefit of the being so long. So I think I've got all of the questions answered there. Anyway, reach out if you have any more questions.